Welcome back. In the last video, I took you through a visualization process for loosening up our tight, anxious minds a bit and bringing ourselves into the body where we can sense what truly needs our focus. We practiced a way to let spontaneous movement and visualization guide us to a more balanced embodiment, where we could then notice our thoughts and consciously choose which to keep and which to let blow in the wind. Now, let's go another step deeper. On this journey toward self-mastery, you'll likely recognize an overarching theme of acceptance. Notice even as you watch this video now that this can actually be sensed in the body each time you slow down to take a mindful breath, easing into a more relaxed, more surrendered state, noticing your surroundings are safe. You can be at ease here in the now. I really want you to just take notice of that in this moment. This accepting and surrendering to what is the core of how to loose your mind. You see, mind control isn't the goal. Presence is the goal. So to be clear, and as you may already intuit, controlling the mind is largely impossible. It's really as if the more we attempt to get a hold of our minds, the more hectic things get, right? This is because the mind is a compounding channel for pure imagination to flow from. It makes much more of whatever it's fed, and it takes its orders from the energy that feeds it. So no matter what type of energy you feed it, it will concoct 100 stories out of it. It will compound it. Therefore, if you feed it resistance, stop thinking, I don't want these thoughts, then it's gonna concoct 100 stories in the same energy. I have these thoughts, I'm not disciplined enough to stay in control of my mind, I'm under attack by my mind. Instead of feeding it that quick reactive resistance, you gave it the energy of acceptance. You will see that when you feed it this love energy of allowance, it shifts all on its own. So a great way to envision this is by thinking of taking any of these difficult thoughts that run through your head and picturing one of them in your hand in front of you. When you're in resistance to it, you're grasping it, you're trying to choke it out and cry, stuff it down. And because you're so focused on it, you're actually closing in around it. You haven't let go of it at all. Rather, you've actually gripped it even tighter. So alternatively, if you breathe, relax your grip, open your palm and just allow the thought to be there, knowing that it's just a thought. It's not reality. Reality is what you're sitting in as you do this practice. You already checked that you're safe here. You're noticing that this is a thought and you accept that it's here now. And with your open palm, you just allow it to exist, knowing it's one of your beautiful mind's unlimited creations and it doesn't need to be acted on. It doesn't need to be invested in. Just needs to be seen and accepted as an option. That's what it is. It's an option. And once you've given it your presence like this, it will float on down the road where all the other thoughts you didn't act on go. We just have to be willing to have this kind of conscious patience when these particularly sticky, ruminating, or difficult thoughts come up. We are meaning-making machines. So when a thought comes up, we will instantly make it mean something. And we're really good at creating negative meaning since that's done well on a survival level to keep us safe from any impending danger, right? And this is kind of like our dark default mode. The thing is that it hasn't adjusted as quickly as the world around us has become reasonably civilized and predictable. So it's up to us to train ourselves to become mindful as our thoughts arise and to process them in this open-handed, accepting way so that we don't spend our lives in resistance. And finally, even though this seems like it takes a massive amount of patience or that it's going to be really slow and a long process, it's actually the fastest route to a quicker mind. Think about how much time you've already spent on battling and resisting your thoughts. If you're like me, then it's a lot of time. And actually, that feeling of impatience that we get when we're navigating our thoughts is just another sneaky little way that we're resisting and combating our minds instead of providing the energy of acceptance that it deeply deserves. So, if you're ready to begin working with your beautiful mind instead of against it, let's move into experiencing exactly what I've just discussed here. So, take a moment to use a few deep breaths to slow down to the moment, to the now, to the present, and get into the here and now. And you're going to do that with deep breaths. We've talked about that in previous videos. I'll walk you through a couple of them. So inhale through the nose, deep into the low belly, and exhaling out through the mouth with a twice as long exhale. And just noticing any impatience that might be coming up. Maybe you're resisting the fact that you might need this practice. Maybe you have some other thought that you've been resisting that's coming up as we do this. Whatever it is, just see if you can envision the thought just resting on your hand. It's allowed. It's totally allowed without piling a bunch of meaning onto it. Just allow it to rest there and give it your presence through bringing breath to this moment, being with whatever emotions arise, not judging any of it, just allowing. And if it's a particularly sticky thought, that's totally okay. We just bring more breath to it, more acceptance, holding it with an open hand. We don't force it away. We don't try to change it. We just let it exist. If it transforms or grows or dissolves, that's fine too. We just allow it. It's allowed, no matter what the thought is. It's a beautiful creation of our mind, and it deserves to be seen and allowed in this way. If it brings up any physical sensations or emotions, that's totally allowed too. We are an open channel for that to be experienced as needed. Allow that feeling to flow through, be felt, give it presence, give it breath. Stay with it as long as it needs. Research has now shown that even the most intense feelings, when allowed through the body in this way, last about 90 seconds. So staying with this process all the way through is totally doable, even if it feels big in the moment. And when we give our thoughts this space, we allow them to move through us instead of getting stuck and haunting us. If the thought does come back again, it'll be another layer looking to be processed, and now you'll know what to do. And since we now know that having a thought doesn't mean we need to act on this thought, the deal is that we just give it our presence and allow it with an open hand. You can pause the video and take more time as needed here. And as you sense the thought has moved on, just notice what's left in its wake. And perhaps it's another thought, in which case you can honor it in the same way with an open palm, allowing it. And when we get through whatever thoughts come up, we are often left with stillness, calmness, peace, a much quieter mind. And as you implement this practice into your way of working with your mind and your thoughts, noticing how shifting to this default mode of acceptance can also be applied to other areas of your life, especially in relationship to others. So in the next video, I'll share how our anxiety is actually the most potent creative energy on the planet, and when communicated with and directed properly, it is the very energy that can bring your own full potential into being.